Hi guys, welcome back. If you are new to this channel, on this channel we talk about R programming concepts for SAS programmers. So in this lesson we're going to talk about variables, or in R they are called as atomic vectors. So here we are going to first create a character variable. Name of the variable is MSG, and we're going to put the value hello world in it. To execute this code, if your cursor is at the right place, all you need to do is do Control Enter or Command Written, and on the console window you can see that the code executed without any errors. And on the global environment side, you could see that MSG variable name and the value of it. And if you hover on the variable name, it tells you that it is a character type of variable, and it took 120 bytes for it to save that value, the hello world value, in the memory. In R, to assign a value to a variable, you can either use an equal to sign, a less than, and an hyphen, or the assign function. The most common or the best practice in R programming is to use the less than sign and an hyphen. We don't use equal to in R programming much. Even though it's not a syntactical error, it will still execute fine. As you can see, there is no error message down there. But if you are reading others' program, you will see that they are using this less than and hyphen quite frequently. So you can use that, or you can use the assign function. If you don't know the syntax or the parameters for the assign, you click on it and you press F1, and then on the right hand side over here you will see the all the parameters and what all values you can pass, and you can see all the details, examples on how to use this assign function. So R help is very handy. So the next thing is, what are valid R variable names? So a variable name in R can have characters, it can have numbers, it can have underscore, and it can also have a dot, which is not allowed in SAS. You cannot have a dot in a variable name in SAS. R variable name cannot start with a number or an underscore. Now in SAS, a variable name can start with an underscore. So that's another difference. Variable names are case sensitive in R. That means U sub id and then the capital U sub id are two different variables. And that you can see over here in the environment window. We have two entries, not just one. So that's another difference between R and SAS. Now in SAS you can assign multiple values to a variable, right? They get stored in a separate observation. In R you can do that using a combine function, or C function. It stands for combine, and it combines similar type of values, like these are all character values, and they get stored in the U sub id vector. So if I press Control Enter, and now you can see my U sub id has two places. It's a two-dimensional array type of a thing, where we have two values in it. So if I want to fetch the second value, the way I can do it is by giving the index of that value. So if I say U sub id in square brackets 2, and then you can see in the console window that the second value of that vector got printed over here. Right. So vector and variable are kind of similar concepts between SAS and R. So don't get confused if I say a vector. It's basically a variable concept in SAS. You can sort a variable by using the sort function and then passing the variable name or the vector name in it, and then it returns a new vector, and I'm going to store it in SU sub id for sorted. So let's execute this, and then you can see over here SU sub id, we got unique sub id 1001 as the first element and then 1002 as the second element in the vector. So it got sorted from our previous values. So if you want to look at the values of a vector or a variable, you can just simply write the variable name and execute the code, and in the console log you will see the values. You can also see them in the environment window over here, or you can use the print function and give the variable name, and it will print the values in the console window. So there are multiple different ways to look at the values of a vector. Now vector slash variables can be of different types in R. In SAS we have only two types of variables. Either we have numeric or we have character. Even the dates in SAS are stored as numbers, and then we apply a format on it to kind of display it in the date format. But in R we have an integer type. So integer type don't have a decimal place. They are whole numbers. So to represent that a value is an integer type, you have to end it with an L. So then R knows that it is an integer type variable. So if I press enter and I go to systolic blood pressure, and you can see when I hover on it, it says integer and 56 byte. We have another data type called as numeric in R, which has decimal places in it. So when I press enter and I go to age, and it says numeric 56 byte. Dates are again a special type of data type in R. You can use as.date function to convert a string into a date, and see you can see that this is in ISO form. So you have YYY-MM-DD. You press Control Enter, and you see that date of birth over here is stored as a date variable. You have logical data type where it is true and false. So here I'm saying age is less than 18. So age variable value is 12.5, which is true. So in the cond, we should see a value of true in there. And there you can see cond is true. We can also have complex data type in R. Now we are not going to use so much in this type of data type, but it has a real value and then it has an imaginary number with an I attached to it. So those are the complex numbers. And then we have binary, which will convert the string into ones and zeros and store it in that. So we have a binary, and to get the binary for a string, you can use the character to raw function. And you can see in binary, we have the binary values stored in the variable. So to get the length of a vector, you can use the length function. Now this is a little bit different than what length function is in SAS. It gives you the length of the variable, that how much bytes were used to store that variable. But in R, when you use length, remember these are atomic vectors. So it is going to give you like the dimension of the vector rather than the actual length of the vector. So length function in R gives you the dimension of it. So there are two elements in U sub id. remember we had stored 2 values in it right over here. So when you use the length function on useSubjID, you get the value 2 returned in it. If you want to get how many characters are there in a variable to get like the same value what SAS would return, you can use this ncar function. And when you do that, it tells you that first element uses 10 spaces and then 10 characters in it, and then the next is also has 10. Coming to the class and type of. Now, this is a little bit goes into object-oriented programming. SAS programmers are not very much familiar with object-oriented programming. Like in SAS, where we do proc content to get the metadata information of a data set or variable, in R, you can use the class or type of functions. It basically tells you what that variable or vector is made up of, what type it is. Is it a character? Is it a numeric? Is it integer? There is a difference between class and type of, which we will learn in the later videos and focus on that once we get a little bit more familiar with these data types. All right, so this is the end of this video. Hope you guys learned about the data types and basics of R. If you like this video, press the thumbs up. If you need access to this program, put it in the comment and give you the link in the description to download this program and to practice it on your side. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.